Welcome to Muletown Speed. I'm Brian and you're watching an engine showcase video. This engine is for sale and we make a video like this for every engine that we sell so that you can get an in-depth look at your engine and watch it run before you buy it. Although we don't rebuild or remanufacture engines, our process of cleaning, inspecting, testing, and fixing if necessary gives you the confidence that your used engine is going to run great in your project. It'll also protect you from spending big bucks on a crate motor or risking your time and treasure on a junkyard mystery motor. Alright, this is 353009. It is a 5.3 liter Gen 3 LS engine, RPO code LM7. That's the one that everybody loves. You can't not like a 5.3 LM7. This particular one is out of a 2002 Silverado, 180,000 miles on it when we got it. 411 PCM, drive-by cable, iron block, 862 heads. And since it's a Gen 3, it does not have the VVT, doesn't have active fuel management, none of that complicated stuff. So this particular harness that comes with this, it's a level 3 package, but this harness does not have the plugs on it for a 4L60 or a 4L80. So that means this is best suited for someone who's doing a swap into an older vehicle with an older transmission or a manual transmission. So something like a Turbo 350, or a T56, T5, any of the manual transmissions work well with this, or a non-electric automatic. So when we got this engine, it had a spun rod bearing. It's been a rash of these lately, which is kind of weird. Last 3 have needed a new crankshaft, so we got this set up with a remanufactured crank. It's turned 10 under on the rods and the mains. Replace the rod and main bearings obviously with that. In addition to that, it also got a new oil pump, new timing chain, cam bearings, LS1 Cam. This is a new LS1 Cam. That cam retaining plate that sticks to the front of the camshaft, that's new. Water pump gaskets are new. Water temp sensor, there's a new starter on this one. Just reading off my list here. One of the O2 sensors was bad, so replace that. The rear cover gasket leaked, so we got a new rear cover gasket. And just today we replaced the oil pan gasket because it was leaking. So anyway, I think I hit all of the parts. So we took it down to a bare block just to inspect everything. Since we knew there was a rod knock issue, and because there's bearing material, we put it in our degrease cabinet, spun it around for a good hour and a half, and just washed it over and over and over again just to make sure that all that bearing material was out. Cleaned up the oil pump pickup before we put that back on, new oil pump O-ring, all that kind of stuff. So this thing runs fantastic, and yeah, let's get to run. Let's run it. Let's go. Alright folks, this is 353009. This is our LM7 5.3 liter out of like a 2002-ish Silverado, 180,000 miles when we got it. And this is the one that's got all of the, it's new crankshaft, bearings, cam bearings, lifters, head gaskets, oil pump, a whole bunch of new stuff in this one. So, should run like a top. We've already tested it. I know it runs like a top, and we're going to show you right now. So we were running it this morning. It's cooled down to 108 coolant temp and 81 degrees air inlet temperature. This is a speed density motor. It's been converted over, so no MAF to deal with, just your air inlet temp sensor in the intake there, and that's already done. So here we go. Fuel pump's on. Let's crank it up. Idles real good. It is, I don't know if you can read that, it's like 42, 44 PSI on the oil pressure. Nice and quiet. We'll let it warm up here. So like I was saying, our air inlet temp sensors right here. Normally this is part of the mass airflow sensor, which would go somewhere in your intake piping before your throttle body. Now we just have that sensor right there and no more mass airflow sensor, so we're good to go there. So this does not have the purge valve right there anymore, does not have EGR, so it's about as easy of a swap as we can give you. Water pump is nice and dry, there's no leaks. It does come with headers or exhaust manifolds. We're at 129 degrees now, it's warming up pretty quick, it's good. Still at 40 some psi of oil pressure. Okay, you can look underneath, nothing's ripping. I just replaced the rear cover gasket, so that's all good. And we run these a few different times and get them hot to make sure that we're not leaking anywhere. We find a leak and we stop and fix it. No noise coming from the alternator or the power steering pump. The lifters are nice and quiet, which is awesome. Like, you can hear me talk right now instead of the whacking of a bad lifter that you hear in these. That exhaust sounds pretty good. This has the LS1 Cam, so it's slightly more duration and lift than a standard truck cam. Pretty sweet. No smoke or anything out the exhaust. Just does what it's supposed to when it's asked to. So 140 degrees on our coolant temp. And let's see, map is showing right around 30, which is pretty standard for what we see around here. 700 RPM on the tack. And this does have one new O2 sensor. This O2 sensor is brand new. It's a Bosch unit, and because it only came with one, so this one is original, but it's working fine. Let's see, this harness has been pared down, so it's just the front O2 sensors, and that is it, making this really, really easy. So basically you hook your O2 sensors up in the exhaust, and the wiring part is pretty much done. All you really need to do is provide power from the battery to your fuse block, which is provided, and then a 12 volt switched key, like a key switch ignition to the back of that fuse block. And then obviously you've got power that needs to go to your starter and power to your alternator for the charging. Speaking of which, we're charging at 14.4 volts, so the alternator works great. So wiring on these are super easy when you get one of these level 3s. It comes with your PCM, the full engine wiring harness, like I said, the O2 sensors. So that's the wiring part, makes it super easy. Let's check our coolant temp. 158 degrees, so we're still warming up here. As far as the fuel goes, this has a return style fuel system. So you have to provide 60 psi of fuel pressure to this side, the larger side, and that's your return going back to the tank. This has a fuel pressure regulator on it, so you don't need to worry about that. You just need your high pressure pump somewhere in your system. That makes that super easy. This comes with an automatic transmission flex plate. It does have a new starter on it, and everything down here looks nice and dry. It's all dry under there. All the tensioners and pulleys and bearings and stuff in the front are all sounding really good. Nothing squeaking. Man, that exhaust sounds good. 172. And let's see. What else can I show you? This thing just works so great. Just look at oil pressure. Again, now that we're warming up, still above 40 on the oil pressure. And this gauge here is just my fuel pressure. That's just on my side because I have a pump and a filter built in. I just want to be able to do diagnosis. So generally when these run at zero vacuum, it's at 60 psi, and then under vacuum it usually pulls down to about 50. But that's supposed to happen, so then when you go full throttle it shoots back up to 60. So it gets a signal here from the intake. So that's all working exactly how it should. $183 degrees. No leaks. So these do come with all the accessories on the front. You get an alternator, a power steering pump, water pump. We don't do AC compressors just because most of the time people are changing those out anyway, and some people run them, some people don't. So if you want one, a factory Silverado AC compressor bolts on, and it rides on its own separate belt. So there's a separate sheave right here for your AC compressor. So it's just a short belt, and then there's a bracket that goes here for the AC compressor. If you need one of those brackets, we can provide one. I've got plenty of those. All right, we're finally getting up to temperature here. 200 degrees, or close to 200 degrees. 86 degrees on the air inlet temperature sensor. So it's up to temperature, nothing's leaking, sounds great, runs great. 5.3, you know, with the LS1 Cam, that's an easy 300 horsepower, and you're off to the races. On, you know, you get decent gas mileage, and like, it's gonna live for forever. I mean, these things are just awesome. So I think I'll wrap it up here. I think we'll call it good. Maybe one more rev, just because. Super snappy. I like it. All right. So maybe oil pressure. Let's end with oil pressure. Still above 40. Get that new oil pump in there. All right. Let's shut her down here. We'll stop that guy. Turn that off. There we go. So I hope you liked what you saw there in the run video. If you're interested in this motor, our contact info is all on the right side of the screen here. Let us know the stock number of the engine that you're referring to when you call us, email us, whatever. That way we're all on the same page. We are located in Columbia, Tennessee, and that is about an hour south of Nashville, about an hour north of Huntsville. So for shipping, we can ship all over the country to a dock of your choice for a fee, and we can also deliver the engine to you for a fee, just on our shop truck here, and get you taken care of that way. Or you can come pick it up here in Middle Tennessee. It's all up to you what you want to do. And all of this info, as well as other engines that we have available
and our new PCM programming services is on our website, muletownspeed.com. That's kind of our hub. So if you have questions, go there and hit us up and let us know if you want this one. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you.